Have you seen any ads from Democratic primary contenders recently? If you have, you probably haven't seen any Klobuchar ads or any Yang ads. You probably even haven't seen many Bernie or Warren ads. There's a very good chance you've seen two men's faces. That is Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer. And you wanna know why that is? That's because together they've spent nearly $200 million on television and digital advertising. More than double all of the other candidates for this entire campaign so far. And one of them, Mike Bloomberg, he hasn't been in the race for a month, but despite that, he's already spent $120 million in just 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That burn rate is rough right there.
So the article in the LA Times where they explained that Bernie Sanders had taken the lead in California, that was a momentous day. Now, if he loses the lead, then it turns out not to be momentous, but if he keeps the lead, and that was the day that he had seized it for the first time and passed Biden. Well, that's a big news event, especially for the LA Times that covers California. They mentioned Mike Bloomberg more than they mentioned Bernie Sanders. And they kept going back. Every other paragraph was like, and then how does this affect Mike Bloomberg? And at the time, Mike Bloomberg was polling at 0 or 1%. Who gives a damn how it affects Bloomberg? The LA Times does. And all of television does. Why? They have 120 million reasons to care about Mike Bloomberg. Why are they all obsessed with a guy who has no popularity? According to the polling, by a 2-to-1 ratio, Democrats say they will not vote for him under any circumstance. Okay, he's trying to buy himself up to a 5% popularity rating, but the media is obsessed. Bloomberg, how's Bloomberg going to affect things?
Yeah.
Well, part of it is because they love Bloomberg, because they all have the same groupthink. Oh, billionaires should rule us all, and money should rule us all. Of course, Bloomberg, that's a real guy, not Bernie. He represents poor and middle class people. What are we, journalists? We would look out for them? We look out for the billionaires. But the bigger reason is he spends so much money in media that they're like, yes, that guy, wow, what a wonderful, fascinating character.
Can I tell you how much money? So $120 million so far in 3 weeks, but projecting forward, talking about financial incentives. So if he keeps this pace, and he's got the money to, by March 3rd, he'll have spent $357 million on TV ads. By April 28th, when New Yorkers, his state, when they finally go to the polls, he'll have spent $561 million. And people will take him seriously, even though he has no chance. That's not a photo, that's video. He has no charisma, he's barely moving. I'm kidding, it is actually a photo. But no, he doesn't have any, he's at 2%, 1% in the polls, but he is swamping everyone else. To put it in perspective, the next highest spender after Bloomberg and Steyer is Pete Buttigieg, who has spent $19 million so far. $19 million overall in these early contests. Bloomberg has spent $13 million in California. That's way off already. He spent $13 million in Florida. That's way off. And yet in those other states on the coast, he's swamping the number 4 guy in Iowa, basically, where Buttigieg has spent the vast majority of his money. I don't know why he's focusing so much on Iowa. There must be some reason demographically, but he certainly is.
We New Yorkers are old enough to remember a magical year when Mike Bloomberg bought another mayoral term the same year the Yankees bought another World Series. And he has calculated that he can spend all this money because A, he's got 42 billion, B, he's got name recognition, C, he's as moderate as it's gonna get. And to me, watching this, so much of the field is now a reality show called Moderate Alternative to Biden Idol. Who do they think that's not Warren or Sanders that they can turn to once Biden falters? So I understand why he's doing this, but Bloomberg, if he's trying to avoid Elizabeth Warren charging him higher taxes, he's paying a lot more now, and he could have just gotten rid of stop and frisk when he was still mayor and not be trying so hard to deal with the black Democratic vote that will never accept him. On the bright side, the commercials look great. He outsourced the editing to this great kids sweatshop in Thailand. They do fabulous work.
Okay, so John, I do want to correct you on 2 things.
Please
First of all, his fortune is now up to $54 billion.
Since we started this show?
Maybe, but no, seriously, in the latest series of articles, they explain his wealth is at now $54 billion.
Oh my.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor.
And so if you think about that in that context, so even if he gets to those monstrous numbers that John is talking about, $561 million, so what, that's $500 million. He would have 53.5 left. What difference would it make? It would make no difference at all. He could spend $5 billion, he could spend 10x of that, $5 billion of it, and it wouldn't Like it wouldn't dent him at all.
He could if he spent $5 billion to buy Fox News, or if he put $1 billion into advertising for the Right to Life Party in 6 swing states. $1 billion into the Right to Life. How many Christians only voted for Trump because they're single-issue voters? And we've convinced Christians to vote against everything Christ talked about by talking about abortion, which Christ never freaking talked about. If people realized there was a Right to Life party and they had a place to put their vote that wasn't for Caligula, Bloomberg could pour $1 billion in 6 states into that little outfit and change the election.
I know, but that wouldn't feed his ego, would it?
No, it wouldn't. So, only help the country.
And there's also one other thing I wanted to correct you on. You mentioned, well, you know, if you just kept this money, you wouldn't have to worry about what Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders are going to do to your tax rate. Actually, that's not really true. Because if you think about it, Warren's wealth tax, once you take Medicare for All into account, is at 6%, and that's every year. That's way more than the $500 million that he's projected to spend. True. So he thinks if I buy myself the presidency, why do I need middlemen? Before they were like, oh, let's get a middleman, let's get Buttigieg or Biden, and he'll do whatever the hell we tell him to do because he's our errand boy, right? But Bloomberg's like, why don't I just buy it? Well, I'll just take it myself, and then I'll give myself a tax cut, and then I'll pretend to be progressive in other things. And I'll say, sure, I care about the environment, I care about guns. Okay, now give me the money. Give me the money, okay? Whatever you do, don't touch my money, Warren and Sanders, okay?
They're coming to take your sugary drinks. They're coming, for my cold dead hands, you'll get my Slurpee. For my cold dead hands, Bloomberg.
So if they can find a way to defeat Sanders or Warren, is it going to be worth the $500 million that Bloomberg's gonna spend? Yeah, financially, definitely worth it for him. It's actually a good investment as a business person. Let me make sure that the middle class doesn't get what they want and the rich keep everything. And you know what his nuclear option is. So, and the rest of the press won't acknowledge it because he keeps, in essence, bribing them by putting so much money into it. Now that's not technically, I don't think that that's fair to call that a bribe, but he's buying positive coverage.
The bias is ratings. The only bias is ratings.
And so, look, just to finish the thought, since he's giving them all that money, they're not acknowledging the elephant in the room, which is the only way he actually affects the election is if he runs as an independent and then spends another $500 million or $1 billion making sure that Bernie Sanders doesn't win. So, and then hands the election to Donald Trump so he can keep his goddamn money. So that's the elephant in the room. That's the only reason Bloomberg's relevant. Steyer, I would be shocked if he did that, okay? And so they're both billionaires, they're both spending a ton of money, but policy matters, issues matter, people matter. It's not, oh, we're against them because they're both billionaires. Steyer actually has done some good in the world, and I would be absolutely devastated if he ran as a third party guy. I don't think he would, I don't think that's who he is. Bloomberg, jury's out. A guy who systematically targeted and abused minorities, full well knowing exactly what he was doing, stuffing them into prisons in a completely ineffectual stop and frisk. You think he's got some sort of moral compunction about betraying Democrats and progressives for his own money? No way.
He hates Trump too much. He hates Trump more than he likes anything else.
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. You're sure he hates Trump more than he hates Bernie Sanders?
All I know is,
I'm not sure.
I was here a few months ago. We were all talking about, hey, which woman running for president do you like the most? And now everyone's talking, hey, which white male billionaire running for president do you like the most? What happened in 3 months?
$120 million from Bloomberg and $84 million from Steyer is what happened.
Bada bing.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.